It is the week of the East Anglian derby, and usually it peaks here. Me speaking to Mr. Benjamin Plume. This is always the highlight of my week. We are smiling. I don't think there's a huge amount of excitement behind the fake happiness at the moment. Ben, welcome to the show. How are we? How are we feeling? Now, what we must say is we are filming this prior to the midweek fixtures. So who knows what's happened there. By the time this is released, we will both know the results for the Ipswich and the Norwich midweek games. But I don't think ultimately, regardless of what happens in those games, it matters too much. In the when we're talking about the East Anglian derby, it's this weekend. Are you feeling more confident than I am?
Probably this time, but I hosted Blue Monday and we started just painting the picture of the game, and for the first time I did get that horrible sick feeling in my stomach that you get, I suppose, less so from the green and yellow side given recent results. But I mean, let me just flip it back to you, Jack. I'm a big fan of your YouTube channel, and the last video said it's all going wrong at Norwich City. You see, Jack's a smart guy, isn't he? What are you doing here? Are you managing expectations there, matey?
Well, no, I'm not actually. I mean, you'd probably watched more of Liam Manning's football than I had prior to him joining Norwich City. And if we'd have believed you, we would have been top of the table and absolutely cruising.
No, I
at this
said it'd be a slow burn, didn't I? Top in a few months, yeah.
You did. And look, if we beat West Brom on the Wednesday, which we'll know the result to by the time this is out, I suspect the title will be very different leading into the derby because we like to flip-flop, don't we? Look, how are we feeling and how has the start of the season gone? The last time we spoke was post Marcelino Nunez sale, and well, that feels like a distant memory now. A lot has happened since that point. He has obviously played for Ipswich since that point. I've seen a few fist pumps in front of the Ipswich fans, which I'm sure has gone down well. But it's been a bit of a topsy-turvy season for you guys so far as well. I mean, how are things in Suffolk?
Well, we've not been great, really. I suppose you can put a lot of it down to the ridiculous amount of change, and basically the team that got promoted. Now you've got George Hurst, Leif Davis, and everyone else has now gone, and that was, kind of part of that transfer window when we were talking about Marcelino Nunez coming in. They're just starting to settle. They haven't clicked yet. Central midfield actually looks good without Marcelino Nunez, with Matasiwa and Jens Kayus. Leif Davis looks like he's getting back to somewhere he was. Jaden Philogene playing very well off the left-hand side, starting to get there. If it was a gear, it wouldn't be fourth or fifth gear yet, but we're the bad guys now. We're the ones with loads of money and a really good squad, so sometimes you can power through based on that. Do you accept my premise here that this is the first time since you had Paul Lambert probably that Ipswich have got a better squad than Norwich? I feel for the entire last generation we've gone into these games, I've always felt Norwich had a better squad than Ipswich.
Yeah, probably. It's strange, isn't it? Because you are the team spending money and have spent money, and the big boys in the Championship, but so have Norwich. And I know in terms of like net spend, it's, Norwich probably broke even over the summer with a couple of big sales, but this is a squad with rich tapestry going through it, and we've not got the best out of them so far. But yes, I think this is a really interesting derby, Ben. I'd be keen to hear your thoughts, because I think it's always easy to deflect the pressure from one side to another, and it's easy for us.
We've both done it 3 times in this conversation.
Exactly. But like for Norwich, this feels big, and it feels big for a few reasons. We have this, whether you read into it or not, this long history of unbeaten record, and that is to lose. It also feels big for this new era at Norwich with Liam Manning and Ben Napper and the Atanasios, because if this doesn't go well, and there is a real possibility it doesn't, it could be a turning point, and not in a good way. And I think that will certainly be fresh in the mind of everyone involved at Norwich, and I suspect the players as well. And I look at for Ipswich, I mean, it's a derby. Obviously, it means a huge amount, but you don't have the unbeaten record to worry about. You're probably going to be okay either way. You've got the good squad. You've got the good head coach. Are you feeling somewhat relaxed, more relaxed than usual?
Well, you can't be relaxed. I mean, and we were talking about this on Blue Monday. The anxiety belongs to the fans. The players have got a 3-game week as well to cope with this week. It's us morons that are, worrying about it and feeling sick about it. But to quote your excellent former head coach, Daniel Farker, when he was doing Leeds in the running last season, he was saying this club has to get over this bloody anxiety and this emotion. You know what Leeds are like when they get in a running, they're just trying to fall over themselves. And the problem with the kind of outlook of the two fan bases is that Norwich for a lot of years have, right, it's business as usual. We never lose against Ipswich. Whereas there is just that anxiety of, and I do wholeheartedly believe, I'm not making excuses, that even in the promotion season for us 2 seasons back, that was still a squad that had come up from League One against, some real good quality players at Norwich, and should have won the game at Portman Road. And Johnny Rowe really turned up, and Nathan Broadhead didn't have his shooting boots on, and shoulda, woulda, coulda. But we've had 16 years of shoulda, woulda, coulda. And then it was a run-in game, wasn't it, at the back end of the season? And obviously Nunez scored the winning goal. I don't feel in any way relaxed. I can't be relaxed about it. I think if any Ipswich fan tells you they're relaxed about it, I think they're tripping themselves up in a bit of a logic trap there. I do think this is not Colin Quaynor and Paul Lambert going against Emi Buendia and Daniel Farker. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? We have a chance.
They were simpler times, but I enjoyed those times far more.
Can you understand why we lost those games? But the home advantage, although maybe you'll tell me you're terrible at home and undefeated away from home, but you've given up a lot of chances at Coventry and Stoke and got out of dodge. But then Ipswich will pour pressure on themselves with it being at Portman Road. So you can, once anxiety is there, it doesn't matter where the game is. But I can't believe I'm going to say this, because you always say I sit on the fence and never back Ipswich in these conversations. I'm more confident than I've been ever since you and I have been mates and been doing these videos. That's as far as I'm prepared to go with that statement.
And I think it's justified, because I've been thinking back to that last derby at Portman Road where Johnny Rowe scored the brace, and I mean, I
he
think
saved you that day.
He did, and you should have won that game, and there were missed opportunities, but Johnny Rowe had the ability to kind of change a game, and we had Johnny Rowe, and then it was Gabby.
He had that derby swagger that Craig Bellamy and James Maddison had as well, didn't he?
And that's my fear, because I'm looking at this Norwich side now, and there are some good players in there. Absolutely, you've got the best striker in the Championship in Josh Sargent. The midfield is concerning, but I think there is a bit of talent in there. You've still got a Kenny McLean type. You've got a Jacob Wright, who I think there's talent. You've got a Mirko Topic, who I think is probably born for a derby type match. He's a bit of a bruiser. But is there a match winner? Is there someone who can grab a game by the scruff of a neck, like a James Maddison, like a Johnny Rowe, like a Timu Pukki, who could kind of just change a game? I'm not sure. And that's the concern, because I think Ipswich will dominate it. I think Ipswich will have the majority of possession, more shots, like every team has had against us away from home this season. And we've kind of been bailed out, even at Carrow Road last season. It was a wonderful free kick from Mr. Nunez that kind of changed the game. And I'm looking at it, and that's where I'm not as confident this time around, because last time we came to Portman Road, I think we had a very similar chat to this. We weren't great. You were flying, had the momentum. There was the unbeaten run, all of the same things we're talking about now. But we did have a Johnny Rowe. We did have someone else. I don't think we've got it that time. And that's what concerns me, I think.
Yeah, it's music to my ears to hear you say that. And I mean, these games are normally horrible, aren't they? And I mean, obviously, Tharker played beautiful football, didn't he? But David Wagner in the last games was quite defensive. And, Norwich did quite a number at Portman Road, didn't I? I remember I was sat in the top tier looking down at a really narrow 5-4-1 with Ashley Barnes kind of moving pieces about. And Johnny Rowe just turned up in the big minutes and scored a couple of goals, didn't he?
Talk to me about talk to me about Ipswich, because it would be the majority of people watching this will probably be Norwich fans, and we've seen the results, and last couple have been better. You had the Todd Cantwell flooded.
Oh well, that didn't happen, mate.
Oh, it didn't. It was a dream, wasn't it?
It's been scrubbed from the results. Captain Cantwell's goal, that one.
Yeah, no, it's all. I mean, fair play to the EFL. They either keep playing games past the 90 until you guys score, or just cancel the games.
Jack, you're better than that, mate. Come on.
I was impressed that Zoe didn't vote in the EFL board.
She abstained, yeah.
Yeah, she did.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you look at it as a neutral, or a Norwich fan at the Ipswich results this season, I think we would have all expected you guys to get out of the traps a little bit quicker. What's been the issue other than just sluggishness from being relegated from the Premier League?
So too many new players trying to kind of fit the new system, basically. And what people forget, Jack, is that we were in this position in League One where we had Kieran McKenna and the most money, and the team didn't really click until, when they clicked, they were incredible. And then they blitzed through the end of League One and blitzed through the entire championship. But it did take a while for the pattern of play to kind of bed in. So I guess it's just that. And they've only lost the one game away at Preston, and Leicester lost up at Preston as well. And you know what Heckie's like up there, and they get in your face and can keep a clean sheet. But we haven't been great. Even against Pompey at the weekend, there was kind of a bit of a standoff in the second half, and then it goes 2-1 right at the end of the game, and you're thinking, come on, this could have gone 3-0 and been a comfortable win. So yeah, I think some of it is just, Jack, have you looked at our 2025? Didn't win a game all the way. So they beat Chelsea at the end of December and just didn't win. And sometimes it's that simple. I know you guys were amazing at just flitting back into the championship and just winning from the word go. But Norwich kind of had that sense about them anytime they got in the championship that they just started winning, didn't they? But yeah, it's just been that, and it's kind of been creaking into decent form since there. And look, you can say we've been a bit lucky recently. We've got Sheffield United like the game before Wilder's going to come back. Obviously, we're not going to get a sensible conversation between Norwich fans and Ipswich fans about the postponement. It was what it was. It rained a lot. The pitch was unplayable. We
were having some fun back and forth. They could have found a more entertaining way to settle it, couldn't they? Maybe a dance off between Cantwell and one of your players, or an arm wrestling competition or something.
In the wet, but in games that actually exist and have been notified by the EFL, we're back to back. But then Pompey had your old boy Murphy missing, and Chaplin couldn't play because he's on loan from us. Keeper's injured, centre half's injured. So I don't know. I think most Ipswich fans would say, even despite Jane Philogene scoring an amazing hat-trick, and Sheffield United was a soft opponent at that point, there's no sense that we've gone anywhere. And again, as Jack said at the top of the show, Ipswich do go to a decent-looking Bristol City side on Tuesday. That's interesting. So we play Tuesday, you play Wednesday, and then you've got to travel as well. Yeah,
and it feels like, what we're going to be, is this the 10th game in terms of when we play the derby? It'll be the 9th. Okay, so it feels like it comes at like a result either way here could really ignite, either team's season, couldn't it? And it's funny because you always find little narratives and little angles to add pressure. And it's like, actually, for a lot of these players, it's just another game. Like, is Ante Siernats really going to care that he's playing Ipswich? Probably not.
Not as much as you or me, no.
Exactly. So, but it does feel, I've used the word critical too much this season, but it kind of feels critical for Norwich. And I get the sense, even for you guys, like there was an expectation that you would bounce straight back this season. I said to everyone, I said, this isn't a bias thing. This is, I've experienced it as a Norwich fan. It's not easy to bounce straight back to the Premier League after, you know, just getting out of that losing run is really difficult. And, you know, who knows, a win here for you guys might get the season kind of up and running. It's a really interesting one. And I must say, you know, at time of recording, I'm not as nervous as of yet, because I think in every single derby that we've been speaking for the last 8-9 years, however long it's been, there's been a level of expectation for Norwich. And I don't get that feeling this time. It feels like you've got the better squad and you've got the better head coach and you've made a better start to the season. And maybe it is me deflecting and setting expectations low, but it does feel like a different dynamic this year. Would you agree?
I would. Yeah, it's all kind of turned around. And look, mate, I was the first one making excuses when you guys had the parachute payments and we had Paul Lambert or whatever. So I can't now be a hypocrite and, you know, not acknowledge that as being the other way round. But I don't know, you just can't underestimate that long unbeaten run. And as much as it, you know, players, I mean, Matasiva or Kayus, like you say about Cernax, they're going to be like, well, what's the deal? It's Norwich, you know. I've heard of Norwich. They've been in the Premier League. They once beat Bayern Munich. You know, it's out there, isn't it? But that the stadium can affect players. It really can if there's anxiety going around the stadium. And yeah, I mean, we all hate these international breaks in September, October, November, but you're right. It does kind of drop. The only thing I would say, Jack, is there's a bit of a sense at Ipswich that it's going to trend up and just take time. Whereas at Norwich, you're looking for something to go right. So,
well, talk to me about that patience thing, because it's tough, isn't it? And you'll have been through this as an Ipswich fan, where like one project doesn't work, then you have to give the next one time, and that might not work, and then you switch it up again and transition and it's banded around, and like actually you just run out of patience as a fan and you just want to see some good football. Norwich fans will know you, one, of course, being an Ipswich fan, but you know, your brilliant channel and your, you know, insight on the Championship. And I think a lot of Norwich fans turn to you for kind of hope around Liam Manning, and you were positive on him. And I think actually still at this stage, most Norwich fans are positive, and we could all look at his career and gone, it has been a successful career so far. But we've got a big enough sample size at this stage to make a fair comment on what we've seen. And the concern for me, and I think I speak for most Norwich fans, is we don't really know what he's trying to do. We don't really know what the style is. And yes, under David Wagner and Johannes Hoftorp, the end outcome wasn't there, but you kind of knew what they were trying. And with Manning, you don't. Do we just sit still and hope it does turn around, or is there something deeper that we should be concerned about?
Well, it's hard to do that, isn't it? You know, if you're not winning, especially in a situation where you've changed owners and you're kind of judging them, you've changed sporting directors and you're kind of judging them, you completely changed squads and you're judging that as well. What Manning is trying to do is, over the long term, make a methodical kind of. It's not going to be like Torup in terms of, you know, attack. It's not going to be like Wagner. It'll be closer to Wagner than it is to Torup, but that might be a good thing. Patience is hard, man. But I sat at Carrow Road. You might remember the game, and I covered Norwich versus Brentford. And I heard the stand behind the goal sing to Daniel Farke, "You don't know what you're doing." Yeah. Daniel Farke really knew what he was doing. And it took the end of that season and another couple of months into the next season. And, you know, you really did see the best of it. So, you know, I'm not saying Liam Manning's going to do exactly what Daniel Farke did, but it's very overly simplistic for me to sit here and say it takes time. But I've seen it at MK and I've seen it very quickly at Oxford. And, you know, Bristol City were good, weren't they? They were a good side last season. And I get he's not an old school tub-thumping personality, charismatic manager. Neither is Kieran McKenna. Do you know what I mean? And I bloody love him and I trust him. So, look, it could all go wrong. The peak of Liam Manning's football career might be getting Bristol City to the playoffs. Nobody knows, but I think he's got it in him, and I think he was ready for the next move. And you said it very wisely to me once, Jack, about hierarchy and English football. And there is no way Norwich City are ranked under 30th in English football. Norwich are a top 30. So are Ipswich Town, aren't they?
Yeah.
In which case, you should always be top 30. Is you're looking at the playoffs, you're looking at promotion, and that's where Norwich really should be. And I think he'll get them there.
That's a new low for me asking an Ipswich fan for hope around Norwich, but you've provided it nonetheless.
There you go, mate.
What should we expect from you boys this time around? Is it slightly different to the last time we would have played each other? Obviously, same head coach, but lots of different players. Has the system changed at all, or is it still kind of free-flowing goodness?
It'll be slightly different. Obviously, in the double promotion winning team was all based on getting Leif Davis as far forward as possible now, and Wes Burns kind of evening up the other side. We're very lucky now that got 4 really expensive wingers, 2 former championship Golden Boot winners, a couple of good strikers as well. So there's far more balance around the squad, although that team was so attuned to, turning lopsided and getting Davis forward. We're a little bit more solid rather than spectacular with Matasiwa and O'Shea and Greaves. There's a bit more size and physicality there, but do they move the ball like Morsey, Luongo, Wolfenden and Burgess did? No, they don't. Not yet, but mate, that team was quality. I mean, never beat you, but that team was quality, weren't they? So maybe a little bit higher on star power and individual quality, but evidently, that team got 96 points. Evidently not as good a team yet. Maybe they might get there, but no, you'll see a lot more balance and a lot less reliance on sucker in round the corner. Right, Davis is free. Go. Cut it back. Chaplin goal, Broadhead goal, whatever. A lot more balance now. Look out for Philogene though. If he gets it in that inside left channel, don't let him go that way. But definitely don't let him go that way.
Yeah, concerned about him. What was the mood on Blue Monday like? Because it's always nice having these chats between you and I, and you're always lovely, and it's always calm and composed. Were the boys bullish?
As bullish as you can be when you haven't won it in 16 years. You need to have something in your corner to go. We know we've got the squad advantage and the financial advantage this time, but I don't know, you start the conversation and people's complexion just changes a little bit, Jack, doesn't it? And you start to remember, Johnny Rowe and oh my God. And then the late goal. We had Luke Chambers actually on on Blue Monday Live, and he was talking about, because he obviously scored the goal up the other end. And this is what you say about football, is he kind of laughed and joked about it. He said Bart had his clown moment, and then who scored it? It was close, wasn't it? But genuinely, those ones are kind of sickeners. When Deere was there, and you were just way better than us, and those yo-yo years you had when you had Cameron, Jerome, and Houlihan used to, you're just way better players, way better squads. But there's been a couple of sickeners since then, and I love Broadhead, and he should have scored a bloody hat trick in the first half at Portman, shouldn't he? But bullish. No, never.
It's going to be interesting. We'll finish up with some score predictions, which I know you love in a moment. But you mentioned earlier our last couple of away games, in which we're still unbeaten away from home, must add, but we've given up, I think, over 50 shots in our last 2 games. We should have won. Well,
at Coventry.
Should have won at Coventry. If it wasn't a 96
Coventry, good mate as well, aren't they?
Coventry are very good. Granted, they did have 32 shots in that game. And thanks for our crazy goalkeeper Kovacevic. We kind of just about got. He's very good. Yeah, he's don't
like the sound of that.
Yeah, no, he's been excellent. There is a moment of madness in there, and it will happen at some stage this season, if not a couple of times. He's good. Darling's been a great signing.
Yeah, I like him. Yeah, good player.
Jovan McCarm has been an interesting one. Who might have been on your
Scored
radar
a couple
from
now, hasn't he?
League One. Scored a couple of goals. He's a big unit. I think will work well in a derby. The rest of them, a couple of are injured already. Not many of them have proved themselves, but it's still early days. But Kovacevic, I think, could be, working overtime, and I think this is the type of game for Jovan McCarm up top. He's big, he's strong, he's tall, he's got all of the attributes that you kind of need. I'm nervous to finish up. I think that's my overriding.
Can I just say one thing, Jack? You always score at Portman Road. When was the last time? People will tell us in the comments. When was the last time Norwich didn't score at Portman Road? So whatever your prediction is going to have at least a 1 on Norwich, isn't it?
Well, in my match going lifetime, as I always like to tell you, I've never seen us lose at Portman Road in terms of in person. So it's been a while. There are goals in our team. There are absolutely goals in our team with Sargent and McCarmy, who I just mentioned. I just fear about our ability to keep pressure away from our box. And, Stoke, Coventry, probably on a similar level to you guys this season in terms of what we've seen so far, have both produced 20+ shots. I think if Ipswich have 20+ shots against us, more than one will go in. So I know I said it last year and it didn't come to fruition, but I do think Ipswich will be favourites. I think you're more likely to win. Of course, it's a derby, and to an extent, form goes out of the window. I don't buy into the whole it completely goes out of the window. Often the better team will win. I fear that we don't have an out-and-out match winner. And as I say, we are discussing this prior to midweek, so who knows what could happen then. But I think you boys will edge it, sadly. And I don't think that's a controversial take from a Norwich point of view. So that's my thoughts. Come on, you can't sit on the fence as usual and go, Norwich will go on.
When have I been wrong, though? I've not predicted Ipswich to beat Norwich. And Ipswich haven't beat Norwich for 16 years. So you can say I'm sitting on the fence, Mr. Jack Reeve, or you can say I've been right every time. But no, for the first time ever on the Talk Norwich City channel here, and I've been on many times and honoured to be on many times, I will predict that Ipswich will win the East Anglian derby. Norwich are going to score, though. I've got the head-to-head up here, and it only goes down to 2010, and they've scored in every game on there at Portman Road. It might even be stupid. It might even be like 3-2 or something, where there's going to be a moment, Jack, because this is Ipswich v Norwich, where Ipswich will have like 98% possession, 15 shots, go 1-0 up, and Norwich will score with their... It's always the same goal as well. That's some sweeping counter-attack where you're like, oh, here come Norwich. This looks promising. Oh, there's one place. Goal. Do you know what I mean? So then it'll probably go 1-1. Maybe Ipswich will get a couple of goals up and then Norwich get one back at the end. Can you see that? It has to be. If Ipswich beat Norwich, it's never going to be comfortable. It has to be absolutely toe-curlingly. And you'll probably hit the post with a deflected shot in minute 97 or something like that.
No, I agree. I don't think it will be an absolute whitewash. I think, Norwich do have the ability to kind of drop in deep and soak a bit of pressure up and get dirty. And Manning will go probably 5 at the back at times. We have to mention him, and we've gone 29 minutes without mentioning him, but it's Marcelino Nunez. He obviously came with an injury, so you've not seen a huge amount of him. Do you think he'll start in the derby? Do you think he'll feature in the derby?
Well, look, he's obviously going to feature in the derby, and your hope as Ipswich Town fans is that he's going to come on with your team a couple of goals up, and it's all going to be great fun. And we just hope that it doesn't get too nasty and silly. And we don't mind a stiff tackle, but some of the things maybe I've heard on social media about how the Norwich players should approach Marcelino Nunez have not been what we particularly want to see on a football pitch. But I understand the emotion and all that. But no, if Matasiwa and Kayostar fit, but as well, better than me, Jack, if the game is being chased and you're having a lot of the ball and look at the game at Portman Road. He was dropping in between last time for Norwich, in between the centre-backs.
Yeah.
Great set play taker. If we're chasing the game or need a goal, you're going to So he's obviously going to come into the game, and it's obviously going to be a big deal.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm kind of interested to see who that benefits. Like, is it just going to get the Ipswich fans up and motivate his teammates, or will it be fire for?
So he gets himself sent off, yeah.
Well, like potentially,
Is he hot-headed?
No, I'll be honest. I don't think he really cares. But it's I don't think. I just don't think it's even computing.
Which Norwich player is going to absolutely smash him though once he gets?
Well, I think he's probably thankful that we've not brought in Onel Hernandez on an emergency loan deal. So Topic has got a big tackle in him.
Okay.
So
look, as long as it's fair and in the spirit of the derby, it's only to be expected, isn't it?
We'll see. There we go. It is the derby on Sunday. There is half an hour of chatter. Lots of chatter with us kind of skirting around the reality of a painstaking 90 minutes that no one really enjoys, but we like to discuss it anyway. Enjoy it, Ben. I'm sure we'll speak after.
Good luck, mate. And we'll speak after, yeah.
And I'm sure there'll be a bit of back and forth between your colleagues and mine as well. But
you
there we
count
go.
On it.
Head over to Blue Monday for the Ipswich Town lowdown if you want. As always, check out Ben's channel. It's brilliant, and I'm sure there'll be some reaction post-match on Sunday. And we'll see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.